Hey, this is Ryan from Disruptarian Radio, disruptarian.com and clovisstar.com. Just wanted to talk about this Kavanaugh case. It set off a few alarms for me, something that I've noticed in culture for a long time, especially in American culture. We see the court of public opinion deciding the fate of the United States. So it's, majority rule kind of in a more private market environment, in less government regulated market. But we see, the big companies that run social media, Google, Facebook, and Twitter, consistently banning conservatives. We see that. You look at projectveritas.com, which I like, that investigative journalism, and it's something I've been participating in myself. And beyond that, I've also created and been working on lie detection software that combines algorithms and has a very complex and yet accurate method of distinguishing truth and sincerity from lies and deceit. So there's not just one way to rely on it. Polygraphs are just one lie detection method. Then there's stress test and eye movement test, and they have heart blood rate test for both observing the eyes and the blood vessels. And so there's a lot of them. And there's a new one that MIT has recently released, and I'm just going to defer to the website veracitylife.com. veracitylife.com. Now, in making this software, I'll admit that on my social media, I do attempt to disrupt these bullshit political biases and religious biases and agendas by saying things that I totally believe in, absolutely, in conversations that I know that it won't be welcome in. So I see the reaction, right? And I kind of get where people's biases are. And, to see if they will be consistent or if they will bend their beliefs and their convictions to favor another, agenda, a bias they have. Whether, one day they'll be, hey, we've got to save the children. What about all those lives being lost, in wars and this and that, and, being very pro-life. Pro-humans, pro-life, virtue signaling that, hey, we believe in life, so, we don't believe in these wars, and we don't believe in, hungry children and, all this, and they make big causes out of that. But then they defend to their death the right of women to abort at any given age. I find more and more liberal women are giving less care towards the actual age or duration of the pregnancy, and more just about the simple right to kill babies. Human babies. They say, oh no, it's just an embryo. No, it's just a, zygote or whatever. It's not actually human. Well, they have no other, function. These things that we call non-humans have only one possible outcome, which is being a human. They're not going to become a rock or a tree or an elephant or a dog. They're going to be a human, right? They're human in every way, which means they have their own unique DNA, right? Their DNA is not their mother's DNA. Their DNA is not their father's DNA. They have their own fingerprint in their DNA, unique to them, 100%. Nobody else has that. So that's what defines them as human. And even as a zygote, they are still unique, and they have that fingerprint of life on them that identifies them as their own unique human. Their DNA is not of anything else. If somebody was just to find some DNA on the floor from a zygote, they would test it, and it wouldn't be a dog, it wouldn't be a cat, it wouldn't be an elephant, it wouldn't be a tree. The DNA would be that of a human. And, the human would have its own unique imprint. It wouldn't be similar to it wouldn't be matched to either its parents, either its father or its mother. The zygote would be a human in every aspect. It'd be unique life. And they say, well, it can't be life unless it can survive on its own outside the womb. So, that would mean like Stephen Hawking would have, been fair game, right? Because he couldn't survive on his own, out of the womb. So, there's so many instances where they are practicing what I would call eugenics, what the Nazis did. And this is also how the Nazis conditioned culture. They used the media, they used propaganda, like the mainstream media and the social media sources are today. Very liberal leaning, very Clinton-esque supporters that bend the truth and report fake news all the time. Just look what CNN did during Hurricane Florence. If you type in a decent search engine, I would use DuckDuckGo or any of the others besides Google or Bing. I would look up Hurricane Florence, CNN fake news, and you'll see them pretending like they're up to their chest in water by kneeling down in the water and getting 2 or 3 feet lower, and then making it look as if though they're being flooded out. Or you'll see the wind in the back of one of their shots, and they'll be pretending to be blown around. They get jerked all over the camera, and directly behind them a few feet are some pedestrians that walk by, and they're not getting blown at all. They've got a little wind resistance against them, but they're not getting blown around. It's not such heavy wind as if though what Cooper, what's his name, Anderson Cooper was pretending it was. It's just ridiculous, the fake news they put out, and they keep a straight face. Like, I don't even know how they can do that. So that's what the Nazis did. They used propaganda, they used media, and they used, disparaging words against their enemies. Like, what was the one that Hillary Clinton used? It was, the deplorables. Yeah, the deplorables, she kept saying. This is the same kind of things that the Nazis did. And then you had the brown shirts, the supporters of the Nazis that, got them elected. And they would go around and use violence in elections, kind of like the Black Panthers did in 2012. You can watch that, the new Black Panther Party, using weapons at voter booths in Philadelphia and intimidating people and, doing it even on camera, intimidating people on camera. So they do that kind of stuff like Antifa does. Like when a conservative speaker like Christina Hoff Sommers wants to go speak at a university, or Milo Yiannopoulos, the gay guy that's married to a black man, right? Who's Jewish, by the way. They go and they burn down the university, like University of Berkeley, California, and they did like hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage to prevent a conservative speaker from coming to speak. That's what the Nazis did. They forbid free speech. They burned books, especially the Bible, in the streets. They made sure to get rid of any ulterior or counter culture to what they wanted with their master race and all that. That's liberals today. They want, very loose and government-dependent people, to increase their power. When a government increases their power, and there's money involved in politics, power and money always equal corruption, and they always want more and more government. Sometimes the Republicans do too, but they have a much better track record than the liberal Democrats or the progressives. So, that's the same thing. You saw, who's that guy with the New Deal sending messages to Mussolini in support of Mussolini when, Mussolini was a dictator basically in the 30s, and praising them as progressives and stuff. And Woodrow Wilson, Democrat that ushered in the Federal Reserve, that the Democrats, lust after. They defend that with their lives. They always vote against auditing the Fed so much as getting their books and understanding where our tax money is spent, where our treasury money is spent. And they proposed it back in the 1913, right? Back in the 1910s. Democrats proposed the Federal Reserve, and now they defend it. And so they're always talking about this switch in the parties, how the progressives became the conservatives and vice versa, and the Democrats became the Republicans and Republicans became the Democrats. They always say that, but if you look at the main policies that they fight for, the ones that do the most damage to the United States, like the Federal Reserve Act, the Tax Act, all these things that happened in 1913, those policies back then, back in the 1910s, are the same policies of the Democrats today, of the liberals, of the progressives. And Woodrow Wilson was always said to be the first progressive president of the United States. You just look up in Google or one of these search engines, DuckDuckGo, look up first progressive president of the United States. It's Woodrow Wilson. So he proposed the Tax Act, which the Democrats love to tax people, more taxes. Listen to Bernie Sanders, listen to Hillary Clinton. Always more taxes, right? And the Republicans, like Donald Trump has recently done, are the ones that always lower taxes. But it was the progressive Democrats in the 1910s that fought for the Income Tax Act, 1913, and the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Now the banks own our country, and we get taxed higher. We used to get taxed higher than any other country, corporate level especially. So, but taxes in all together, like the percentage of tax, per the GDP and per the population of our country, was always higher than other countries, right, per capita. And now Trump is lowering that. So businesses are coming back, jobs are being produced, lowest unemployment in all of history. I mean, sure, I do profess to be a citizen of the world. I am a human being, right? I don't branch myself off by race or by nationality. I've been to 12 countries this year. My kids are Native American and Caucasian or whatever, but I don't see them as anything but human. I don't see them as anything but my kids. I don't see them as part this and part that. No, man, they're just my kids, my wife, Same thing. I mean, we don't come from the same area of the world in our genealogy, in our history, but she's my wife. We produce kids together. Obviously, we're the same species. Race is just another word for species, and we're not different species. I can have kids with anybody of any color that's human, and female. We can, mix and match whatever, eye color, skin color, whatever. We're the same race. So I don't define myself by race or nationality. People that do have an agenda. And especially the ones that are now separating us by gender, where in the United States, that issue's been solved. Like I say, I reference Christina Hoff Sommers on that. She's a factual feminist, feminist author from the 60s, well-known, well-accredited, led many feminist organizations, and was a member of many feminist organizations in high tiers of their organizations, scholarly mostly. She was a part of some of the studies about feminist scholars back in the 60s. So I mean, just look at her and what she has to say, about these feminist myths and these gender disparagings, and things like that. The division of gender, race, and nationality. It's all nonsense. The only thing about nationality that makes sense is when there's taxes. If there's no taxes, I think there should be no borders. But if the local citizens are paying a bunch of taxes just to allow anybody to come over and enjoy the benefits of those taxes, there's some problems there. But no taxes, which I'm not in favor of. I think taxes are ridiculous. We did fine before 1913. There was roads, there was bridges, there was public schools, libraries, the whole works, without an income tax. So, I mean, my labor is mine, God-given. I don't owe it to no government. I don't owe it to no politician. So that's mine and mine only. But the only time nationality makes any difference is when there's income taxes or taxes in general that people of any other place can come and enjoy without contributing anything. So that is one issue about immigration that I get. But in all, I myself consider myself a citizen of the world and a human being, not white, not black, not whatever, as far as the race is concerned, because I consider myself a part of the human race. And I don't know, this divide and conquer thing is pissing me off. Not only in the states that I've lived in, but in the country as a whole. And not only that, broader, it's more prevalent that I saw in like Ireland and the Netherlands. People are so hypersensitive there. It seems like to me that, it's just all leaning liberal and government, big government dependence and, whatever else. The more people depend on government, the more they're bound to favor it and support it and defend it. That's all I can say. Peace.